We are live.
All right, we're all set.
We are all set.
Sled Addicts is brought to you by Team Vincent Motorsports, Bergstrom Carbides, Ledger Performance, Ultimax Belts, Stud Boy Studs, and Radio World. All right, we're back for the 25-26 season. Exciting times ahead. Great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you too, man. How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. I'm excited. Obviously, this time of year, heading into October, doesn't feel like fall yet, but I think we're both getting pretty excited for the season coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're coming up to under 3 months till we're on sleds.
And man, you look totally different. I think a lot of people on our channel aren't even going to recognize you this year.
Because of the scrubs?
No, man, because you lost a lot of weight.
Thank you, dude. It's been a long process, but yeah, since just under a year, I've lost 80 pounds.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
for sure
excited.
going to beat me in races this year.
Yeah, exactly. I hope I get an extra couple kilometers an hour top end on these sleds.
For sure. Well, it's great to see you, man. And obviously, I'm excited and welcome everybody out there who's tuning in to, our first kickoff video for this year. We love to do these. We got lots of fun topics to talk about on today's video. So let's first of all, what did you get up to this summer? Tell everybody what you've been up to.
What did I get up to this summer? So, in the life of a medical student, it's not so fun. We don't get summers off. Your summer was definitely more fun than mine. But no, I was on rotation in the hospital. I had a couple board exams to take. I've completed all my exams to graduate to get both American licensure and Canadian licensure. So that's all done. And I got a little bit of time back at home at the cottage on the boat and did some skiing.
Nice.
But other than that, just work.
Cool.
Why? Because I prioritize all my time off for medical school in the winter.
In the
I
winter.
get no time off in the summer.
Nice.
Yeah. Even though I had a boring summer, what did you get up to?
My summer was great. Like always, usually spend the summers on the water. This year I think was quite unique because kind of I had this idea to start something kind of similar to what we've done with Sled Addicts, but for fishing, and started up Fin Addicts this summer, which I ended up going for my captain's license early in the season in April and passed all my exams and certifications for all that. And yeah, I started chartering part-time this year for salmon on Lake Ontario. So I had a blast. I had a really successful season, probably one of the best salmon fishing seasons we've had yet. Had a lot of happy customers. And in fact, just tonight, I already got my third booking for next year. So had a
Wow.
lot of good reviews and a lot of people are already pre-booking for next season, which is awesome.
Yeah, my dad had a great time with you.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I got him out and your uncle. We had a blast actually. It was a good time.
And didn't you also win a competition?
I did, yeah. Well, I didn't win the whole thing, but there's a kind of a derby that runs throughout the whole summer. And there's kind of like a pot specifically for charter captains, and I came fifth place overall for that. We landed one huge 30 plus pound fish this summer that won us a bunch of money. My clients were like super stoked about it. We won some prizes from that. So yeah, it was a pretty awesome season, a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And now I hope you can put that aside and start thinking about sledding.
Absolutely. So we're I love the kind of the transition period, and it's actually great this year. Even though we've still got nice weather, I've got one or two more charters coming up this weekend, but we're already into sledding season. We've been busy this month, and yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to kind of the upcoming season, right? I love this time of year.
Absolutely. And I
So
think what better way to kind of get into the season than to talk about some of our highlights from last season?
yeah, for sure. Last season was crazy. It was
Every
certainly.
season is better than the season before for us. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah, certainly. I think we've seen some really good progression just with everything that we're doing. But give me some of your highlights. What was kind of like the your top three from last season?
So I think the first one that pops into mind, which is quite obvious, is Gaspe. So you had done Gaspe the year before. I was sitting back in New York all jealous that I didn't get to go. And then last year we did it together and we had an absolute blast from the the snowstorm and having to readjust and prolong the trip and some of the memories there and the amount of snow that we had to deal with at certain points, plus the views. I've never done any riding like that in my life, and I think you're right. That's going to be a yearly tradition from now on.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaspe, I think, since I first did it with Ledger and that crew, a couple years ago, like I said in all of our videos for Gaspe, like for me, that is the pinnacle for trail riding. It's by far the best, most interesting, most scenic place to go ride. And I think you got kind of that full experience last year. Not to mention, other than that massive snow day, which was still tons of fun because we still went out and even even though we were kind of stuck there for a day, we blasted around, had a good time. But the weather we had was like phenomenal. We had bluebird days
Oh,
every day.
100%. And for those that don't know that are watching this video, the day that we got to Riviera du Loup to start our trip, we had planned to do the loop clockwise.
That's
And the weather didn't
that's
look good.
right.
So we're all at dinner and everyone's like,
That's
let's
right.
do the trip. So there goes me running out of the restaurant on my phone for like an hour and a half, calling like 10 different hotels and changing everything last minute. And it ended up working out for the best because the bottom half, when the weather was a little bit more cloudy and overcast, there wasn't much scenery there. And then once we got up to the North Shore, it was blue skies the rest of that trip.
Yeah, and that's I remember that now vividly, but that's where we wanted to make sure that when we had those bluebird days that we were actually riding in the mountains so we would get the nice scenic views, and it certainly worked out really well.
Yeah, and I'll sound like a broken record here, but one of the big things that stuck out to me from Gaspe is the fact that there is the combination of all types of riding. And we like that wherever we are. There's certain parts of it coming out of Riviera du Loup where there's a lot of fast running and power lines. And
Mhm.
then once you get east into the mountain, there's a little more technical riding and elevations and twists and turns and really riding for any type of trail rider.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to definitely replicate that this season again. What else for you?
What else? So one cool experience that I had last year, which I've never had before, was breaking open trail in absolute whiteout conditions with more snow than I ever dealt with. So last year, after being in Cochrane at the end of December, the first, I think it was like the 4th of January, Barrie got absolutely pummeled with
Mm.
snow. And I got the call from Paul asking me to come up and help out. And getting into that groomer, there were times where the snow was literally at my eye level, sitting in the cab like 5+ feet off the ground from drifting. So
Yeah,
that
I
was
remember
super
seeing
cool.
some
I've
pictures. It was
I've been
crazy.
grooming for a few years, but I've never kind of broken trail in those conditions and just watch like create trails from scratch. And that was awesome. And yeah, I would say even though I've dabbled with grooming in Cochrane and I've broken trail up there, it's a whole other ball game when you're dealing with that much snow.
Anything else? Any other highlights for you from last season?
Hmm. So I think the other big thing that really stuck out from last year was the end of season backcountry riding in Cochrane. So we rode for a little bit together, and then you kind of went home and called it a season, and I stayed up for a few more days and got to do some backcountry riding with Jeff. And he took me to
Mhm.
places after all these years. I thought I had seen it all. You've never seen it all in Cochrane. Every year, next ride, there's something new to see. And we did a super cool ride up the Abitibi River, basically all the way to the dam, which is like halfway up to the canyon,
Mhm.
and then hopped off into the backcountry. And because it was like there had been a warm up, it was a little bit hero snow, so you could kind of go wherever you wanted, and that was awesome. That was great.
Yeah, I think that there's probably no surprise, I mean, to folks who watch the channel regularly and have seen how much time I think we've spent up there the last, 5 years and the different type of riding, that we've been getting into just because we're friends and we've got lots of local friends up there with Kenny and Jeff and those guys taking us out, into the backcountry locally. And I think that's certainly become something that we love doing.
Yeah. And they've become like, we say this all the time, but they're like family to us. We go up there and we're not just a tourist riding, we're kind of part of that community.
Mhm.
And what about you, Mr. Mike? What were your highlights from last season?
Oh, geez. Last season, well, firstly, it was the most riding I've ever done. So I did, I was out a lot. I spent,
You beat me.
yeah, I spent like 7 weeks in Cochrane riding. I was, did two big trips, like two or three big trips. We did that 8-day trip with Chris Ledger, which was crazy, 2,500 kilometers. It was wild, some of the different trips and places that I got to. Also the trade shows too. We're just coming into trade show season now, and I really had a lot of fun last year at the Toronto show specifically, and that's coming up here in just under a month. So, we're prepping for that and getting ready for that, and just hanging out with the Bergstrom guys, seeing all the different vendors there, and kind of connecting back into the community and the folks who are actually in the industry. I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that show, so I'm certainly looking forward to us, having a nice presence there this year. And then, I put a ton of miles on the backcountry last year, and I'm excited for new sleds. So, we're not going to say what we're getting this year, but we're certainly stoked. We had a great fleet of sleds last year. I think we were really fortunate enough, we conned your dad into getting us that 9R, which
And
was
that
pretty
sled's
cool.
staying. That sled's still in the fleet this year.
That sled's staying, so we're gonna put some more miles. I think we put close to 2,000 K on that one last year.
I think more. I think it has almost 4,000 by now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dad rode it a bit. I rode it. You rode it. We got some mileage on it.
All right, good. And I keep going back. I've been talking a lot about the BCX Turbo. It's definitely been my favorite sled to date, and we put a lot of K on that sled in particular. And I think I had a really awesome time, up in Cochrane, wrapping up the season and doing some of the review videos. And I think we always try to do our best to sort of branch out and try what we can.
Yeah.
And you and I talk about it a lot. We don't, it's obviously not feasible for us to buy every single sled like Snow Tracks
I would
and just
love
try
to.
them. I would love to, sure. But we don't have the connections yet to get all the sleds, but we do what we can to get ourselves some good sleds to try. And actually what I would probably also argue, I think we've done a really good job at pinpointing the right sleds for the riding that we do.
I agree.
And, like the Lynx to me was a blast last year. We hopped that thing up, was an absolute rocket. Tons of fun, that sled. And, us kind of progressing more to the 146s and having those in the fleet as well as 137 comp. I mean, our fleet last year, I think was spot on. So that gets me excited. And I know hopefully we'll be getting some calls from TVM soon saying, yeah, sleds are in.
Yeah, and I completely echo what you say. We'd love to have all the sleds. We can't. We try to spread out as much as we can, and I think we do a pretty good job at having a diverse array of sleds for different environments and different conditions. And
Yeah.
backcountry sleds, the trail sleds, the two strokes, the four strokes. That backcountry, I'll say, because last year was my first like real experience putting on a lot of kilometers on that sled when you left Cochrane and you were gracious enough to let me ride it for a few days. That sled was a blast. Like the story I was saying before about the backcountry riding up there was on that backcountry, and I didn't
Mhm.
want to get off of it. It handled like a trail sled on the trail, and when you got off trail, it was a hell of a lot more capable than the comp. So it really was the best of both worlds.
Yeah, super, super cool. And like I said, I think we've just been really, really great at, branching out and trying some different things over the years to see our riding's also progressed too, because we were like 100% trail, years ago. So I think it's just been a nice progression to see over the years. And I'm excited again this year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some cool sleds and do some cool things with them, hop them up, play with Chris Ledger and some parts and
Oh
see
boy,
where we go.
danger. That's happening. And looking ahead to kind of our upcoming season, what makes you excited or what are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I think because, we've sort of really branched out into building this as a business now over the last couple of years. For me, that's been exciting to see. Taking some of the ideas that I've had and sort of turning them into products or talking, coming up with ideas for specialty snowmobile products to me has always sort of been something of interest. And to be able to kind of convert that and turn it into a business has been it has come with its challenges, but it's been amazing to sort of see that happening, right, over the last couple of years. So for me, that's huge for us. The media side of it also, doing the YouTube stuff and working on content and coming up with some new ideas and ways to engage our audience out there. I think all that stuff is fun and exciting. And I want to do some different things this year, as it relates to coming up with some new ideas for videos. So I think it's those are two big things for me, just around the business in general that I think we're focused on and we're doing a really good job of.
Absolutely. And I circle back to what we've spoken about before, but that what I think stands us out from a lot of businesses is the products we sell are products we use and find benefit in ourselves. And that holds true from the beginning until where we are right now.
Yeah, 100%. And we always say that, like, we don't really want to sell it. And I think that's always going to be kind of a key point for us. Like, we don't want to sell it unless we believe in it, we use it, and we know that it's going to be a benefit to somebody in the snowmobiling world.
Absolutely. And I think a great example of that is the power lift. Last year we got one, we tried it out for a few months and we're like, wow, we really like this. We'd be interested in selling it because we find benefit in it ourselves. And that's been a huge success for us this year, and customers have been loving them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to cold weather. I'm looking forward to some snow on the ground and then, getting some trips planned and maybe, we'll do Gaspe and we'll look for some other places to go, maybe some new places to explore. I think that's always fun. So, I'm sure you're the mastermind behind the trip planning, so I'm sure we'll come up with some cool places to
I've
go
been
this year.
I've been getting messages from people being like, "Where are you riding this year? Do you have your trips booked?" And my answer is always the same. We don't book anything that far in advance because it kind of ends up being a game time decision a couple weeks before,
Yeah,
based on weather, based on conditions, based on other things that come up. We're pretty busy, but as always, we're gonna have some epic trips. That's a guarantee.
for sure. And how about you? What are you looking forward to for this season?
So, first thing, obviously, getting up to Cochrane as usual. This has become like a routine for us every year. But this year, finally, I'm getting out of school a little bit early. I finished in the hospital on like the 12th of December. So I'll be up in Cochrane from the 13th until the new year, helping open the trails, flooding, everything we usually do. You might not be there with me at the beginning, which might be a little bit different.
Well, we'll see. We were just talking about it today. We're looking into family vacations. So if we end up going to Jamaica, then yeah, I'll definitely be headed there. And if not, then yeah, absolutely. I'll be up in Cochrane.
You'll be flooding with me.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how that goes. I should know hopefully within the next week or so.
Awesome. The other thing that I think is I'm super excited about is the fact that as I mentioned before, I don't get time off in the summer because I prioritize my time off in the winter. And I have the whole month of February off. So from February 1st until like March 3rd or something, I'm off. So I plan on doing as much riding as humanly possible. I think last year I did pretty good. I was off for 2 weeks and I sledded for 13 out of those 14 days. So I'm going to try to make that happen again this year. Try to make up
Nice.
for lost time. And lastly, I think another thing that makes me super excited that we've spoken about and we've planned in the past is doing Moosonee this year.
Hmm.
And something we've been going up to Cochrane for years, but we've never been up to Moosonee.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we'll be doing that trip this year, hopefully sometime in February. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of experience that level of backcountry riding, which we haven't really done before.
Yeah, it's I've spoken to Milan and actually ran into her twice last year. The first time actually was getting her sled back from
I remember
Moosonee,
that.
her Arctic. So it's a great story. Got it back she sent it back down from Moosonee because it broke down. And then I found out a couple months later. So I took it off the train. I went with Curtis.
I
We
saw the
actually went,
story. I remember. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I went into town into Cochrane. The train came in. We unloaded her sled off the train, brought it back to the Westway. And then I find out, I talked to her like a month later, and she's like, I see a post. She got a brand new Skidoo Turbo Expedition. I was like, okay, awesome. Like that was pretty cool. Anyway, I chatted with her quite a bit last year, and so she's been on me, to get a trip lined up, and we couldn't make it happen last year. So this year, we'll definitely set something up with her and get up to Moosonee.
That's awesome. And yeah, I can't wait for that trip.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, it's always great to connect, and I think this is uh another piece to the puzzle to get things kicked off this year. We got lots going on in the last couple of weeks here. We're prepping for the Toronto show, which is coming up soon. So for those of you in Ontario who might be traveling, who are interested in traveling, come see us at the Toronto show for sure. That's going to be the next big thing towards what is it, the 24th?
24th to 26th. It's the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so we love meeting all you guys who are watching the channel and folks that we know locally around Toronto and GTA. Come check us out at the show. And listen, hopefully we'll see some colder weather this weekend. I don't know. It's pretty warm, but hopefully soon we'll see some cold.
From what I've seen about weather forecasts, it looks positive for the winter, but you never know with weather forecasts. The only other thing I do want to touch on just before we kind of end for today, um, for those of you guys that are in Ontario, you've obviously seen some of the news that's come out about changes to organized snowmobiling in the province.
Yeah. Yeah.
And from our perspective, as someone that's a volunteer with a club and a director with a club, some of the changes are different from what we expected, but at the same time, it's all looking towards making the sport as sustainable as we can and ensuring that we have trails to ride generations and generations to come. So we just heard, and you might have seen from clubs posting across Ontario that the organization had asked for a 7% increase of permit fees. The government or the Ministry of Transportation declined the increase, and so prices will be staying the same this year. So what that means for us is that the organization wants to sell as many permits as they can. And I think as a snowmobiler in Ontario that rides the trails, the most important thing you can do is buy a permit, and even better, buy it early, because if you buy a permit early, that money gets to the clubs early and they have money to work with to get the trails ready for the season.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of close out. And I've sort of been following along as well. I mean, you and I are pretty tight, and we've been talking lots about this lately. And to be honest, I try to stay away from a lot of the negativity online and some of the banter that I see on some of the forums and groups and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, and it's no different. I mean, Ontario, has its challenges. Quebec has its challenges. Everywhere has its challenges. I think at the end of the day, it comes back to the camaraderie, the community, and supporting organized snowmobiling wherever you are. I don't think it really changes from wherever it is that you are that you might be snowmobiling. The fact of the matter is you gotta pay. I think, personally, I think that the cost for permits here in Ontario is dirt cheap. I honestly think it's the cheapest thing ever
Yeah, and
from the sport.
I totally agree. And when you look, the OFSC released in their newsletter that prices or costs of their operations has increased by, I think, just over 50% in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And permit price hasn't changed a whole lot. So it's not even accounting for that. So I would argue to say the price of a trail permit is the biggest bargain in the sport by far.
100%. It's the cheapest part of the sport, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I always think about it in a sense of like I can spend $200 on a pair of gloves, $200 on a pair of boots. How much do you spend, going out for dinner with the family? Like
Even
it's
like
just,
comparing to like something like going downhill skiing or getting a golf membership, like downhill skiing, a lift ticket could be $100 for the day.
yeah, exactly.
So 2 days for the price of a permit that allows you to use trails from one end of the province to the other for as long as the season lasts, which last year was almost 19 weeks from
Yeah,
the first available trail to the last. So yeah, I think it's a bargain. And for all those watching, if you're in Ontario, if you're a trail rider, we ask you to just buy a permit.
buy
It
your
helps.
permits for sure.
Yeah.
Great piece of advice for sure. And always good to see you, man. I'm sure I'll be seeing you shortly when you get back into town, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be bugging you like usual to kind of we'll be getting stuff in order and getting ready for the shows and sleds coming in. This is just the start. Yeah, and looking forward. This is our sixth season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, sixth season on YouTube. So that's
Yeah,
super exciting. And we're looking forward to continuing to grow with you all.
awesome, man. Great to see you.
You too, man. Take care. See
All
ya,
right.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.